Hello, everyone. Welcome to a special edition of the Benchwarmer Sports podcast. I'm Raffi, joined by Davian and Theodore. We are so grateful and very excited to have former NHL enforcer Krzysztof Oliwa, one of the, and actually the first person of Polish born in Poland to win the Stanley Cup. Did it in 2000 with the New Jersey Devils, and then also Stanley Cup finalist in 2004 with the Calgary Flames. Christoph, we're so grateful that you're joining us and allowing us to interview you. How are you? How are things? It's been a couple months since I've last seen you, and
Oh
yeah,
no,
how is everything?
listen, hey, listen. Thank you for inviting. I've watched. You told me all about what you guys are doing. It's kind of cool. It's not an easy thing to do. That's for sure. I've done many of those. Majority of them maybe calling calls and stuff, radios and stuff. But this is very nice. Yeah, thank
Davian Theodore, as always, too. I have to ask you guys how you're doing. So, how's everything going so far?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
I'm
good.
doing great. I'm super excited about this. Theodore.
Yeah, I'm doing great. Hockey's been on my mind. I've been the play-by-play broadcaster for. We have three Alabama hockey teams here in Tuscaloosa, so I've been doing play-by-play there. So hockey is on my mind. I'm excited. I'm ready. I've been craving some NHL action, so this is the perfect way to get us ready for hockey season, which is fast approaching.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we'll just get right into it, Christoph. If you want to just talk a little bit about your path to the NHL, you were a third round pick in the mid 90s drafts.
Mhm.
What was your path to the NHL? When did you decide that it was best that you want to be an enforcer in the NHL? If you could just talk a little bit about that and how that worked out.
What to even start, right? So, all right. So basically, um, make a long story super short. Can't be short. Um, so I started playing hockey. I was 80 years of age, which is very late, right? Like it's something that is now that I represent players and work in, world of hockey for a long, long time, it's late. And, I always played soccer growing up. I was a good athlete. And one of my friends told me, he goes, if we sign up for hockey, we're going to go to the Switzerland in 2 weeks. And that was like, we're like 8 years of age, super poor. There's nothing there. There's nothing going on, right? Basically, you can on your own, right? And so sign up for hockey. My mom bought me skates. Learn kind of skate, kind of on the ice, but mostly like frozen streets of Poland during the winter times and stuff. Uh, didn't know much any of it. But what happened was when I got on the ice, the very first practice, I can never forget the moment, was the our coach. We sitting on a bench, like just over the bench, all the guys waiting for this appointment to come off the ice. He's like, "You guys look bunch of, and you look like a bunch of NHLers," and like we didn't even know what the NHL is. So he kind of explained to us, and like that's kind of when the light went on. I was like, I want to play NHL, whatever it is, I want to be there, right? So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And make a long story short, for some reason, always came natural to me the skating part of it. I was always this lanky, big guy. I was like 6'5" and age 16. Maybe not the biggest guy, but I was strong and very good athletically. And I always played for the regional team, U15, 16. Went to different countries, play at the Czech Republic, Russia, Germany, Bulgaria, you name it, right? We've been all over the place, right? So um, and played for national team U18 and 20. And one of those events we've played in Switzerland in the city of Zug, beautiful place. And I had a pretty good game. And one of the coaches came up to me after the game and says, "Christoph, I want you to come back into Switzerland to skate with the team for a week or so because I believe one day you're gonna play NHL." And I'm like, well, I don't know about that one because I work in a coal mine for the last 2 years. I, graduated as a mechanic of mining machines. I'm getting up at 3:50 in the morning. I take a train at I think it was like a 5:08, took about like half an hour to get there. walk about 5 miles to the thing in the morning, and it was like 3 days a week and 2 days school, and then it was like 2 days school or 2 days work and 3 days school. Then you take a train or bus to practice at night, and you got home by 12 o'clock at night. Crazy stuff, right? So here's not much to listen. So go back to Poland. We come here a couple of weeks, take a bus, whatever, tour bus, and I went there for a few days. Skated with the junior team, and his name was Mike McNamara. Till today, I will never forget the name. I'm so grateful that connected dots. And he was the one who discovered. Never met the guy in my life. Never knew who he was. He literally just like come over to Switzerland and try out for the junior team. And after one practice, the junior team, and I went there with no equipment, just my skates. They gave me all the different equipment, so it's already out as it is. He says, Krzysztof, skate with the men's league team, which is the elite premier team, where you call it the professional team. But on the professional team, majority of the back then there was um, I think there's a rule of 5 imports, and all those guys that played on the team were from Canada, retired NHL players. So again, I spoke absolutely through English at the time, but I learned German since I was a little kid because I always wanted to play either Germany or anywhere outside, anywhere but home. That was like the number one goal on my end, right? So they start talking to me and they say, "Hey, Krzysztof, we believe that you can play NHL. If you don't make it NHL, after let's say go and play junior hockey in Canada, we would love to have you back here as a Canadian junior hockey player versus, unfortunately, the Polish junior hockey player. It was very much different back in the days, right? Which is all fine, right? And and so I went back to Poland about 3 4 months later. I've received a invitation letter from Welland Flames, from Greater Ontario Hockey Junior Hockey League. Now is the Welland Canadians. They're still there. Send people around just about. Send people involved just about. Guys that coached it for the past few years. The guys that were drafted the same year in 1918 Quebec. Um, and I came in and it was like it probably was like 300 kids, and I thought it was like a tournament. And like they're like, no, this is a tryouts. I'm like, tryouts? Like, what is doing kids? Like in Poland, me growing in Poland, I think we had at the time when I started playing hockey, we had I don't know, maybe 450 players between you know the little kids, the knights, whatever you call it, the Division One guys, right, the professional, very little kids. So me seeing 300 kids at the ring, I was like, I don't understand, right? But I came in I was 18, or just turned 18 or something like that, and I was at 6'5", 225. Okay, and right before I came in, and I can't recall the dates. There was an event in the Lillehammer where uh, Glinders played for the Team Canada, and that's all they talk about is Glinders, and it's like, and how big he is, how strong he is, and all the great stuff about, his commitment and his work, away from the ring and all the good stuff. So, so I kind of like, nowadays you Google stuff, and we didn't have this, so I just took, Webster, no Webster Dictionary, there was encyclopedia, and I kind of translate um, the pounds into kilos, and the feet and inches into the meters and centimeters, and I've realized I'm, if not bigger, but maybe even bigger than him. I'm like, I'm playing NHL, and that was the fascinating thing. When I realized, and it happened was 6 7 months earlier, maybe even earlier. I can't even get the days right. I started running like miles a day. I live in the 11th floor, and like running, jumping single leg to the 11th floor, never took the elevator. I did some stuff so insanely. It was just insane stuff done just of opportunity. When I get a chance, when once I get the papers, because I still haven't got those papers, um, I will you know, um, do my best, give my best shot at it. To make a long story short, so I get on the ice in the Welland Flames in 1992 or 3. It was 1992. Literally made it one lap around the ring. And my GM, Gene Sabuco, I'm still friends with, grateful, and um, he says, "Crystal, can you just sign him?" Just sign that you play for. I didn't even touch the puck because all they really worried about it was like, can he skate? Right? They picked me up from the airport. Like, how much money you have? I'm like, I have $40. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't. Nobody wanted to speak in English. They had a translator. I'm like, yeah, $40. So and the first thing he did, he took me to the ring. Like, can you shoot the puck? There was no ice there, so there was all questions because they never had. There was never a Polish hockey player in the history of hockey in Canada to even try to take a shot at it to play at their level. Or as a matter of fact, any level, right? So I signed a contract to play for the junior B team, and of course we're number 88. Right? You have to. So from that team, when I played for Welland, that was back in the days, if I'm not mistaken, there might have been maybe 24 NHL teams, maybe 22 NHL teams. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm sure you can look it up. Um, there was like 30 NHL scouts in the stands, and they all just looked at me. And again, the game was different. I was very much, up and down guy. It was not very fancy, but I loved the game of the rings are small, which is very beneficial to guys like myself back in the days at least. The game was played very much differently. Come and chase type style and drive the net, start from net, finish your checks and whatever. Never fought in my entire life. That was never my thing. I was always power forward, always scored many, many goals. Growing up as a kid, I was one of the best players in my time. Um, so fast forward during the year of 1992, the Round Flames. I had a knee injury because I was like a targeted kid. Like everyone tried to get a shot at me. That was the most ridiculous thing. Like you're like, it's just hating me for being there because you kicked somebody else's spot, which is very understandable, right? Like the kid's spot. So I had lots of injuries, a lot of issues. I had MCL injury. I had a last game of the year. I got in a fight. Someone jumped me and referee fell on top of me, dislocated my shoulder. It was just horrible. We had a playoffs. I stuck around and I played in the playoffs. We went all the way to game 7 of the Golden Shoe finals, and we lost to the Hamilton team in game 7. So after the game, obviously I had an agent at this point. They would think I'm going to draft it. I was listed like maybe 8th round first, and then when the final ranking came in, I was like fifth round. And when I got to Quebec, although I already had a surgery done in Toronto, they spoken to multiple teams, and they have drafting. They was drafting me 65th overall, 3rd round. So obviously, one of the best days of my life. I've never uh, even thought about it. I have a pictures somewhere here with the Stanley Cup, the Western Conference trophy, the Eastern Conference trophy. Like this, there's a kid, right? And now I have the same thing here in the Stanley Cup, and both those trophies here in my other room, and being able to be part of it. You see behind me is like the Devils, and the one to the right is the Stanley Cup Finals 2004, last Game 7 as well. So it's been a long route getting there. Obviously, the first version of it, much faster than we sounded. Um, Lots of injuries until this goes on. So
Yeah, I mean that's an amazing story, and you got into it about really talking about your finals run with the Devils and with Calgary, and I was just wondering, was your run with the Devils in 2000 similar to the run with Calgary in '04? Like, did you feel kind of the same feeling like heading into the finals, into like the bright lights, or was it completely different given the you were playing in two different countries at that point, really? Between New Jersey and Calgary. So how was that feeling really like? If was there a difference, or did you feel like it's just another team and it's another game?
No, you don't look at it like that. You know what I'm saying? It's really very much different. So what happened was, like, 2001, one of the Devils, but in 2000, 2000, 2003, 2003 or 2002 or 3 season, I played with the Rangers. Okay, I got actually traded. I'm sorry, in 2002, I played the Penguins, and I got a voicemail message at the I was at the pool playing on my daughter and stuff. That got traded to back to the Rangers. Okay,
They
so
they left you a voicemail and said that
I
you
got
got traded.
no,
Wow.
I got a voicemail, right? Sort of a voicemail, and and I didn't get it for a couple of days. I have no idea. And but the problem was about, you know 2 years earlier, 2 years earlier, 5 days before 9/11, um, I sold. Um, Me and my ex-wife were selling a house, and the house has not been sold for 2 years because of 9/11. So at the moment when I was getting traded back to New Jersey, we were doing a renewal grant, just kind of across the river. I just about to sell my house, like literally 3 days earlier on a paper. I'm like, oh my seriously God. Like, so we had to now buy the house back for like extra money just to reverse the whole contract. So, here I am, paying for the Rangers, driving from New Jersey to New York to ride whatever. It's a nightmare drive to just to start. Um, and then about, I'm not sure exactly the game was, but it was about fifth game or so. We were playing Columbus Blue Jackets, team that I've played for in the inaugural year in 2000. I got traded for the Devils after the Cup. And what happened was, Doug McLean, love the guy, GM of back then of the Calgary Flames, one of the best guys in hockey. When I brought my humorous in the game, um, literally, 5, 6, 7 games into the season, and he traded me to Penguins. So what happened was, so now we are back. I remember a lot of things, and when somebody trades me away or tries to replace me, or you know, like it makes me stronger and mindset wise, and I just kind of don't forget that, especially when I played. And so I put it, and we had a couple of situations where one of the players, Jody Shelley, who I started his career because I was traded. It's one of the greatest stories you can find about the internet. It's so funny. It's like super long. He went after one of our players in a preseason game. So here's a rematch game basically in Columbus, and there is about 3 seconds left in the game. Okay, and Trache, coach, says to us, "We're losing the game by like 5 goals. So it's 3 seconds left." And he says, "Oli, you and McCarthy and Barnaby, you guys go kill the penalty." I'm like, "There's 3 seconds left." Because Oli taking the face up. And, so we there, and Kerry Fraser, the referee, you can look this up on actually on YouTube. Actually, you can look this up. It's so funny. And the Kerry Fraser is just like a slap shot. He stands in front of us, which is right there. He says, "Guys, if you guys do anything stupid, okay, I'm going to throw the books on you. Oli, you will get suspended. Barab, you get definitely suspended. I'm going to suspend you, all of you. I'm going to throw the books on a team, and I will suspend the coach." Make a long story short, Jody Short got kicked out for me earlier. So now it's a Greg Marshall is there. Now he's on our team, wearing my number. An unfortunate thing, he has to get face up, right? So like, what do we do, right? Like, you know, back then the game was very much different. Like, you couldn't just say, okay, whatever, we lost the game, or he went after a player. We can just say brush it up. That was just not the game. It was a different mindset. So we thought like if we don't do anything, we're gonna lose our jobs, and if we do something, potentially we can lose a job too. So there's like kind of no way out. So Fraser goes to me, the ref, who's still part of the alumni here, the Flyers for the brand, probably as a ref. Looks the same thing, the whole hair flow, like time frozen for this guy. And he says, Oli, who's taking the face off? I'm like, I'm taking the face off. Because why are you taking the face off? I'm like, because you want McCarty taking face off? You're one of the best face off guy. So make a long story short, the face off didn't go as well as maybe the referee thought. So I got a 5-game suspension. I think Barton got 3-game suspension. I think McCarty got, I'm not sure if he got a game or two, but I know the Brian Trachy, the head coach of the Rangers team, he got 3-game suspension, and the team got fined $50,000 for the brawl. Okay, I won't get into me in the middle of it. Okay, I ended up in the minors for 5 games or some games played, and I said to myself, you know what? If I'm gonna get sent out to the minors, getting paid NHL money, I might as well be a player now, and I'm gonna be scoring goals. So when playing the Hartford, I think it's Hartford Whalers, the team, and I think it was Hartford, no, Wolfpack. So, and tried to be a player, and one of the scouts from Boston Bruins came in. He goes, "Oli, can you just be yourself? Can you just just be you?" So I was me, pounded a couple guys there very quickly. Got a call overnight. I got traded to the Boston Bruins to Raffi, who was my coach in Albany, and we won a Stanley Cup together, the Devils, and I've been there. So, and going back to the Calgary, to your question, I got bought out from Boston Bruins organization. They cleaned the house, including the coach. A bunch of guys lost their jobs. They send you a letter saying thank you for contribution to the Boston Bruins organization, but but uh, but your service is no longer basic needed. And I got picked up by the Daryl Sutter, who was the Calgary Flames, which team was probably one of the worst in the league the year before. So what Daryl Sutter did, he picked a bunch of different guys like Jelenas and some young kids, some maybe inexperienced. Kippersoft, who's ended up being one of the best goalies there is. I think his name is retired in the rafters. Gillen was there obviously, and Craig Conroy is now the GM of the Calgary Flames. So we had a very Yale. He wanted to cover the Colorado. So we had a very we didn't have the greatest team, but we had a great team with guys that've been and done that. So and we went for it. And about 3 months before, 3 months before the uh, the playoffs, we lost the game to Detroit Red Wings. And Derek he comes into the locker room and says, "We thought we kind of did it all right because they were such a good team. Chelios, Lindstrom, Eisenman. I mean, they had a team like we couldn't even touch the puck. And I'm talking like there's some ridiculous stuff, right? Like, and so he says to us, guys, I don't want to crush your ego, but I know it's Saturday night. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m., everyone's on the ice. So we we showed up at 5 a.m. or 5:30 in the morning in the practice ring, at the ring, the Stadium. We had about 5,000 fans in the stands watching us skate, if I'm not mistaken. We had they got skate for the entire 2 hours, no pucks. We had to work out in our gear on at the gym. We had to work out on the bikes for another hour. Then he made us sit in the TV room, in the media room, to watch the entire game in a mute in no commercials. And he was walking in the middle of the game while we were watching the game in the mute, saying, trashing everyone from everyone. Gil, now you this, Crandall, you there, all why you suck too, all of you suck. It was probably the finest thing I've ever experienced in my life. And we just try not to laugh. As you all know, Derek Sutter is one of the best that is in the business. Obviously, after we went to the finals and almost won a game 7. They called the game Game 6, they call the inconclusive goal, which forced the Game 7, losing the Game 7 in Tampa Bay 2-1. He went on winning a couple Cubs of 3 with the LA Kings, came back as coach in Calgary. And I'll be honest with you, this is one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, which is part of the representing player under Oliwa Hockey Advisors, is because the experience I've had in the past, it's like you can't even compare to me. Every player that gets there is got a different story. Guys that make it there, it's a completely different way of getting there. So, yeah, so that's kind of what
Yeah.
can you.
Yeah,
Theodore,
Theodore,
you're muted.
man.
I am really sorry about that. I wanted to circle back to something you said earlier, Christoph, about the game being so different now than it was when you played. And obviously, you're in that enforcer role. I am a Rangers fan, so obviously number 73, one of my favorite players in the league right now. But you look at the enforcers across the league, you look at what these guys are doing out there. How does it compare to what you were doing? And then how do you think, what would your role in the league be right now? How would your career be different if you were coming to the league now versus 25 years ago?
All right, so just check my phone here because I get this new phone here. It's deleted my message. But anyway, so when you're number 73 in the league, okay. So see, I was never an enforcer. Okay, I was not the guy. Okay, um, basically, playing 3 years in the minors. I tried to be a player. I never want to fight. I was just never the guy. Like I was a big and strong, yes, but chances are someone will kick my ass if I could kick my ass because I just don't want to fight. I was against fighting. I don't like violence and stuff. I just don't like this. That was not my thing. I don't like animals being killed, things, spiders. I just not the guy. I maybe look big and scary, but on the inside is like very different, right? I mean, can I protect myself? Yes, right, obviously. And so what happened was, after 2 years in the minors, you know, fighting, getting my ass kicked many times, and we could talk about it hours. Like I must remember every single fight, and if you play one of those hundreds of fights on YouTube, I can tell you the story behind every single fight. It's the most ridiculous thing. I can remember when I put my wallet, but I can remember who I fought 15 years ago and give you a detailed version of it, what went down the night before, month before. Oh, it's insane, right? Um, so anyway, so I've realized, I said, if I'm going to do this, I unfortunately have to become not just a fighter. I got to be able to fight. In order to play NHL, to play the role, you have to be not just a fighter. You have to be one of the best there is. Period. There's not a way around it. So basically, for the year and a half in the minors, I kind of started boxing almost every day. I did, crazy stuff, doing things like balance wise and stuff. And throughout my NHL career, I was summertime. I boxed 5 times a week at the old red brick gym in downtown New York, which I don't think exists anymore. It was coached by Jose Rosario, who was one of the USA Olympians, boxers at his best in his times. Were cockroaches the size of tarantulas, and there was one window with a fan in it, 125 degrees inside. Okay, so I did what I had to do to be one of the best at it. So when Rampage came in the picture, assuming that's who you're referring to. Okay? I always say this. Well, actually, when he came in the picture, actually, I don't even say this, but like when he came in the picture, when I saw what happened with one of the Devils players when he ran on the kids, right, hurt him, whatever it was, um, and then the trade for the other guy for the Devils, and he had only one job to do was making sure that this doesn't happen, and it happened again. I text Lou. I'm like, Lou, I know you had a problems with the guy. I'm like, I'm still jacked. I'm like, sign me up. Just give me a call. He's like, Oli, you're so funny because he was, I know, and I would do it too. So that's the thing. Obviously, you mind things different. Obviously, it's not, it would never happen. What I'm just saying is, ours, the guys, the old school guys, are very protective. Very always team comes first. Always have each other's backs. So, for example, if something like this happened, if some guy comes in the league who is truly nobody, okay, just because you play in the minors and you come in the NHL, you fight every game, big deal. My first year, I had 34 fights. He will never have even close to that. I'm just saying, maybe in 3 years. My first year, I had
Abs-
34. I'm just saying, right? And it's fine. Listen, kudos to him. He's doing a good job. And I started training with George Larac. George was a big boy back in the days. I mean,
yeah.
that guy was big, huge, right? So, and we
Mhm.
got battles of, back in the days with a battle of Alberta, doubleheader, always great games to play. So yeah, so listen, I have a lot of respect for these guys. They're doing the job, and it's definitely the game's changed. I always say this that this game one day, if God forbid something ever happen bad, this game is gonna go back to where it used to be. When guys gonna have to come each other back because it's not always protect yourself. Like what do you like? The game is so fast, things happen so fast. Like you don't read and react. You scan and execute, and the speed of it's like if you miss something, I mean, chances are it's gonna be a problem. So
Yeah.
you got to guys have done it. No question about it.
Absolutely. I think it's really big too, where you mentioned the fact that, like, as you were in the AHL, like, you kind of realized, like, I got to fight a little bit more. I got to get rough, get a bit more tougher of a player if I want to have a longer career, get some more NHL playing time. And I think that's true with a lot of players where you see some players now where they're in the AHL and they might be a really good scorer. They've scored 50 plus goals in their junior leagues, in Sweden, overseas, etc. But then you go up against even better competition, and it's hard for some players to realize that they might not be that top six forward or superstar forward. So they have to come up with ways to adapt their game so then they can make a role for themselves in the NHL. And I think the players who have had really good careers in the AHL, they've realized that early on too, where it's like, okay, maybe I do have to be a bit more of a rougher, rugged player if I want to make a career as a whole in the NHL. So I thought that was a very interesting point. I did also want to ask too, once again, you won the Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils. What was the night out like? Do you have any great stories of winning the Stanley
Actually, I
Cup
don't. That's the
after?
thing. I had a reconstructive knee surgery when this whole thing happened. So I didn't get to really enjoy that part of it. You know what I'm saying? Which is kind of sucks. But that was my because of that. That was my drive for the second Stanley Cup. You know what I'm saying? So like I use this energy to be doing something that is actually I know I can get there. When Daryl started calling me, when Daryl started calling me on summer of 2003, I said he was only listen. If I sign you, what do I get? I said three things to him. I'm like, I have the most major leagues. I'm sorry, most majors in the league, most fights in the league. He goes, Oli, how you going to do this? We can't fight anymore. The last 10 games, last 10 minutes of the game. I'm like, Daryl, they changed the rule because of me against the game happening in Columbus. Remember? He goes, that's right. Yes. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go as a team on the ice and we just go after everyone for a shift. And that will lead us to play for the Stanley Cup and to win a Stanley Cup. And he goes to me, Oli, I've been around hockey for a long time. I have never ever heard such a thing in my life. But you know what? You are more crazy than I think you are. Welcome to the team. Get on a fight tomorrow. Swear to God. That was my pitch to get on a team. Yeah. And he goes, you got bought out from the Boston Bruins, so we're gonna give you whatever we're gonna give you, and man, bring it. And that was the case. I had, if I'm not mistaken, I led the league in fights in 2003 or four, and we did play for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup. We almost won Game 6. So as you see it, mine is a very powerful thing to have, but it's one thing to think about something, another thing to do it. And I really, truly, work really hard to get to be one of the best in the history of hockey at that position, meaning guy that is brings it a fitness level, commitment level, sacrifice and injuries of reconstructive surgery, name it, I don't know, concussion, broken jaws, broken hands, fingers, ribs, wrists, name it, whatnot, right? And going back to your quick question about the thing you said a second ago about the players need to change. So when I played in the minors, okay, my fourth year, I was voted by the all coaches in American Hockey League as the most improved player. I played in the wing with Patrick Ilias and Peter Shikora. Patrick Ilias, his name is in the rafters, won, I think, 3 cups, the Devils, and Peter Shikora won 4. Okay, I won 1 and I was 1 2. But when I came to the Devils, when Jacques Lemaire was the head coach, it's probably the finest thing I've ever heard in my life. He says, Oli, had a very good camp. He goes, Oli, you're going to play your first like exhibition game or something. I'm like, all right. I'm like, I'm mistaken. I'm so sorry. That was my before I even became the guy, before I even became the most important player. It was my first year actually. Jacques is the coach, and he says to me, "Oh, you gonna be in the power play? Make sure you know the breakout." I'm like, "I got it." Jacques speaks very like French Canadian, kind of English French. So it's kind of hard because I don't understand. I couldn't really speak much either, so we were both on the same page. And yeah, so and I got out. We got to be playing as the Islanders, and Jacques goes, "Oli, you, Scott Stevens, Niedermeyer, we share," and I think it was I don't know, someone else was on the ice. And I said to Niedermeyer, I'm like, Nieder, leave the puck behind the net. I got it. He's like, all right, surely. So completely not the play, right? Like it's like basically saying you run the ball but you throw in the. It's just completely opposite. Right? So I get the puck behind the net, skate to the red line, dump it in. We have not sustained anything, have not made anything happen out of it. I come to the bench and that goes to me, Oli, if you ever, and I mean ever, touch the puck one more time on a power play, I promise you, I'll make sure that you never, ever play NHL. I was like, yes. And the funny thing is that, I ended up scoring a bunch of goals my last year in the minors. I think I scored 21 goals, 7 in the playoffs in the minors, and I ended up scoring like I think 2 or 3 goals on power play in NHL. And I always told the guys, listen to me. Just please, I beg you. When I'm in a power play, please don't ever pass me the puck. I have a PSD from Jacques Lemaire from 1993. And I think today is the funniest thing ever because, like, it is so true, right? Like, you're not here you're not here to, you're here because you're here to do certain job. So we understand that maybe you go this, and that, but that's not your job. So unless you're willing to accept the job at the next level, which is the major league level, which is the highest level of sports, you don't belong there. And I don't care how good you are. You can be the one of the best that is, but guess what? Unless you do what you're told, you're never gonna play there. Or at least unless you do what they tell you how to do it and when to do it and whatever the process is, if you don't want to follow that, they're gonna just replace you. You're just a raisable marker. As good as your last shift, as good as your last play. That's it.
I feel like too, like just for the power play, they just be like, just stand in front of the goalie. You're 6'5", 230, just like stand in front. Don't touch the puck. Don't worry about anything. Just park yourself right in front of the goalie. Take away his eyes.
Oh,
That's all you gotta do.
and to say that, like, I don't think you understand. Like, being a power player is one thing. I practiced for my entire professional career of 13 years, 14 years, give or take. I practiced tips every day. Not like once a practice, like before practice, after practice, eye hair coordination, all those different things that will be designed specifically and only for one job and one job only, which is get a garbage goes around the net, right? Take the pucks off the boards, which is the hardest thing to do because the puck spins 1,000 miles an hour. It's not easy thing to do. So it is all those guys that playing at the highest level, even Listen, the kids that nowadays who play the youth hockey level that I represent. I mean, let me tell you something. They're so talented, but the problem is that even though they're such a talented players, back in the days you had where everyone's looking for the talent. Nowadays, they're all talented. How do you find the guys?
Right.
How do what happens is they put those most talented kids on the ice, and you have a scouts, coaches, GMs, whatever is in the working organization or whatever. And those people they go upstairs and they have only one job only, is to eliminate as many best players out of all those best players. And they will even pick guys that maybe not as good as the other player, but they're gonna pick a guy they have the best chance to win with based on their consistent play. Translation, are you loving the face off? Where's your stick on the face off? Where is your stick on a shin pads? Do you back to the middle of the eyes? Of course. Do you communicate? How's your body language? You know, do you stop in front of net coming back? Do you anything? Do you look at the coach asking for more ice time by looking at him, which pissed everybody off? No one wants that. So you can have the three minuses. You have the list. Maybe you may be a better player. Okay, they give you another game. But if you have three minuses, usually you can get a minus before the puck being dropped, and you can be totally out of the game. And that's just the way it is. And they don't care because you know what? There's so many great players out there that you
Yeah.
truly don't have to really worry about if you don't have enough to play. Plenty of them. And they're going to take anyone from anyone, whoever it's perfect fit for the moment for the team to give them the best opportunity to win a championship. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's about, right? I mean, the USA hockey, the hashtag have fun, yeah, that's a great idea to a certain degree. But at the end of it, it's a winning championship. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and Christoph, you just mentioned about USA Hockey, and I think with the NHL finally being allowed to participate in the Winter Olympics coming up in 2 years, I want to ask about your international gameplay for Poland, and would you recommend for these players who have never played for their country to go out and play? A lot of these guys, of course, have played for their country in the juniors, but they never had the chance, especially now that they're in the NHL. And I know that the season's very busy, and you see in basketball, some players don't play for their country, and they use that time to kind of rest or whatnot. So I was wondering, what would you say to an NHL player? Would you tell them to play for their country? How's your experience, playing for Poland?
All right, so again, make this kind of story fast. So I'll give you an example. So let's say this past people, there will be World Championship, a you know, where the Polish national team for the first time competed at Pool A. Last time the Polish national team competed in Pool A, I was the team captain, 2002 in Sweden. Okay, and when you look at the roster of those current players, for example, just for the Polish team, I'll go back to the NHL. Um, they had players on a team that should be retired 10 years ago. There's the players on the team that I've played with just about. That's simply, if for their cases, they got demoted. We got demoted in 2002 because the Japan team had a deal with the IHSF that no matter how bad they do, they will stay in Pool A to promote the game, which was it is what it is, right? We actually beat them. I scored a goal against Japan. Um, but as far as let's say, if you ever have a opportunity to represent your own country, obviously it's an honor to do it. Um, and again, it all depends on. I mean, the season is long. Let's say if you play like on West Coast teams like Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver. Like when I played for the Calgary Flames, I don't think I ever unpacked my bags. I was always like on my carry on. It was always suits with me. Maybe change some suits here and there, but like we always dry clean stuff on the road in hotels because there's just not enough time to turn around. When you play the game at teams like the Calgary Flames, for example, in the Edmonton Oilers or Vancouver or whatever, you always travel. The closest place is 2 hours away by flight,
Right.
and so it depends how your body feels. And believe me, taking time away from the ring when it comes to Christmas, you don't get like 2 weeks. You get like 4 days,
Yeah.
um, and it's huge. So, and again, I personally think it depends on who the person is, who the player is, and where you are with your injuries, and maybe you need a time rest. But if they want you to play national team, and if you can, yeah, definitely is a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so to switch gears a little here, we've talked about countries a lot. Obviously you have grew up in Poland, you've lived in America, you've lived in Canada, you've played all over, and now obviously you have your agency where you represent other players. I don't know how much sports journalism you read, but The Athletic about a month ago put out a piece. It was titled "Anywhere But Canada," and it was about NHL players supposedly not wanting to play in Canada for a variety of reasons, but one of them was just talking about the money lost from living there, and then obviously it's especially true for American players, where you also have the thing where you don't want to live in a country where you're not from. It quoted an agent, J.P. Barry. He talked about that. He talked about how players like break it down to the nickel, and just it seemed to draw this conclusion that players didn't like playing in Canada, and that the Canadian and NHL teams were losing out in a big way because of this. Is this something that you've seen or experienced or seen in the players that you represent? Like, what would you say about this idea
Well,
of players?
I represent players that not at the NHL level. I represent players that at the youth level from let's say 14 to 20 years of age. Okay, but based on what I experienced in playing for the Calgary Flames, let me tell you something. There is no better players to play NHL than play in Canada. You are the god of the goddess. You're on a pedestal, but at the same time, you got to answer questions. So when you have a great game, they all love you. You have a bad game, it's bad. But you like, if I'm not mistaken, like if we would have won a Stanley Cup, the Calgary Flames, back 2003 or four, they were going to and again, don't quote me on that one. They're going to rename the avenues. How cool that would have been. Can you imagine like 33 Old Avenue? Number 12, Gilna, number 22, Conroy, right? Coolest thing ever, right? And so they really, they treated players right. No, I mean, all teams treat players right, but the experience of playing Canada is just different. It's just different experience, to say the least. And like again, and if you ever had opportunity to play it, yes. And listen, going back to the money thing is so what happens is at the major league level, let's say you play for Montreal Canadiens or Calgary Flames, whatever. It doesn't matter. You guys of Canada, every state you play, you get taxed. Listen, back in this, we didn't make the kind of money. We made good amount of money, but it wasn't like nowadays, which is like insanity almost, right? The minimum was 550, right? And that's like just anyone who just stepped on the ice in the first NHL game, um, and that's fine. But when you get a paycheck, like it's like when I play in New Jersey, for example, Calgary. I mean, that was like out of let's say whatever the number was, you're getting 45, 55% less of it at least. Then you got your agent's fee that are not paid from your net. No, they're not paid from your net. You pay for your gross. So let's say if you own an agent 6, 8%, whatever they might be going rate for those guys, you paying really 12% or 10%, right? Because you're paying from the gross, not from the net. So and then you have the expenses. You have the play in Florida, no state taxes, right? Why would you want to play there, right? But then it's like some people just don't like hot weather. I like hot weather, but not for hockey. It's not a mojo for me to play a game. In Calgary, -50, great place to play hockey, great ice. So everyone's got their own ideas about what's the best place for them. Your career is so short that you got to really you really had to put a thought to it. Guys get married all the time very quickly in hockey. It's like the opportunity, win opportunity. Like, okay, it's a beautiful girl, this girl, the money's coming, flowing and stuff. Sometimes it works out, sometimes doesn't. A lot of times doesn't, and and you got to make decisions. But if you ask me for anyone to say no to play in Canada, for example, I think you're making a big mistake.
100%. And I'm sure Maple Leafs fans just entirely, with all the pain that they've dealt with since 1967, they would put up statues for every player if they wind up winning the cup. It's just that diehard and that starved for some solid playoff success. Before we close out the podcast, once again, thank you so much for all your time. You've been very generous with all your answers as well and going very in depth. Do you want to talk a little bit about your agency and your other side businesses that you're
Yeah,
working on now since you've been done with the
yeah,
NHL?
yeah. So I obviously, I worked with JD before, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. And I kind of branched it out. I went on with my own business agency, it's OliwaHockeyAdvisors.com, where basically we have, not just access to players, but obviously coaches, schools, junior teams, you name it, we got it. I have to, my commitment has always been to anything I ever do is at the levels that I feel that is you can't even compete against sometimes. Again, everyone's got things that do better than others, but I know that I'm working at it at somewhere around between 5:30 in the morning to 11, 12 o'clock at night, long hours and 7 days a week. Nothing changed. 12 months a year. With a great success, I believe. And again, every player is different. All kids are different. There's no such thing as a cookie cutter agenda. There's no such thing as his route to success is going to be the same as the other. And that's what kind of keeps me exciting and do what I do. I represent players from all over the world, from South Korea, Russia, you name it. Had players from Poland in the past and Canada. I mean, all of them, Australia. So again, it's very rewarding. Obviously, there is no guarantees in the business. But if you ask me, when I was the kid, and having somebody to make this one call extra and connecting the dots, that's always sometimes what it takes. And having the technology I use on day-to-day basis and access to information, I can basically deploy things very quickly to thousands of people in a split second to put those kids in the map. By the end of the day, they really are. It's up to them to make the best of it, because those are the ones who do the work. But with my guidance and people I'm working with, they've been in the game for a long time. You definitely have a much better opportunity to be successful than, just kind of thinking, okay, I got it. No, I wish it was that easy, and unfortunately, it's very difficult. Rules change every day. It's hard to keep up with the rules. Changing leagues, expansions, everything changes, and there's always a curveball every day. And but those kids, when you're 15 and 16 years of age, and that it's a very small time to put it together. And if you make a mistake, it doesn't mean it's going to cost you, you know, college career or whatever. But at the same time, definitely might not help. And my expertise on things, especially in sports, obviously, and fitness and being, certified trainer, and always been a fitness all my life, basically obsessive compulsive about it. Um, when you understand the concept of how to do things versus not to do it, or maybe what works for others might not work for you, and try to find a happy medium, you definitely is going to be in much better position, I believe personally, to put it together. Not to mention, which is it's a big thing. When nowadays the pay to play model, it's just, outside of, let's say, USHL and NHL, maybe other leagues in Canada, BCHL, whatever. Um, when a parent spend an average probably on your team somewhere between $8,000 to $12,000 a year, not including the trips, not including hotels, not including flights, and name it. It's probably a good idea to have somebody have your back at any time, because if you don't have the answers, not just might cost you more, but might cost you as much as don't get shot at the end of the day for everything, all the money being spent. So, and again, there's no guarantees. I wish there was. I wish there was a blueprint for it. If there was one, I'd be the first one to buy it. I probably have every single subscription on the planet as far as hockey goes. You name it, I got it. But at the end of the day, it's all based on my own knowledge, experience as a not just a hockey player, not just as a junior hockey player, NHL player, minor league player, East Coast Hockey League player, Stanley Cup champion, and Game 7 player, junior organization owner, a coach of youth hockey teams. I call the wheel of fortune. I know the business inside and out, and unfortunately, none of it spins the same way. So you try to figure out what's the best thing based on by his player and their his needs, and hope for the best go forward. So that's kind of what I do.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like it must be so rewarding to hopefully some of these players do find their way to a professional career and especially to the NHL because that's not only rewarding for you, but rewarding for them at the end of the day. I think that'll do it for this edition. Christoph, thank you again so much for taking time out of your day and for
Side,
speaking with us. It's been
side,
an absolute pleasure.
side to Adam
And
from Rock and Husmick.
yeah, absolutely. That just to put a tie just to tie the knot to I met Christoph at a graduation party where he was being the photographer, which was absolutely amazing. So it was a pleasure meeting you then and it was again a pleasure speaking to you right now for
Yeah,
this
no,
entire
I
time.
would just matter like it's my hobby of things like that. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm this big guy, this strong guy, fat for a living, but my geekiness like levels that no one even knows anything about. Like I love doing stuff, the computer work, the video editing, all the stuff. You guys need help with anything, I can probably do it for you 10 times faster than you can. So just
Something about tall athletes being photographers joining Randy Johnson there. I love to see it.
Yeah,
I got it my gear. I can tell you that. I got all the gear you want. I got everything.
that's awesome.
Amazing. So once again, thank you so much, Davian, Theodore, for Theodore, for Christoph. I'm Raffi. We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports podcast. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll talk to you guys again soon. See ya.
Guys,
See
thanks
you.
so much.
Peace.